Yourself?
I did?
Of course you did. In the letter you sent. I sent you a letter telling me to get the night off and hurry here to the Villa Orlovsky.
Well, that's the first I've heard about it. Someone is playing a joke on you.
A joke? After all the trouble I've been through, pretending my aunt was so ill and getting the night off and stealing one of my mistresses.
Well, you're here now, so we'll just make the best of it. Since your act was so good, I'll introduce you as an actress. Play your part well, or we'll both be in trouble.
I'll do my best.
You really think I will laugh tonight?
I sincerely hope so, Your Highness. I have prepared a most unusual little dramatic sketch for your entertainment.
Entitled?
The Revenge of the Bat.
Here's the prince. That's the prince?
And look, the performers in our little comedy are arriving. Here's the first.
May I present my sister Olga, Highness?
An actress, I presume.
And with enormous talent.
I'm just a beginner. Good, I love beginners. Perhaps you would be kind enough to bet a couple of thousands for me at the table.
Wouldn't you prefer to play yourself?
I might win, and that would bore me.
Oh, but if we lose?
Then I will have the pleasure of your company all the sooner. Now, first, explain.
Allow me the element of surprise, Your Highness. However, I will reveal that this Miss Olga is really the chambermaid of our hero, the Marquis Renard. And this is our hero.
I came as quickly as I could. Supper not yet started. And plenty of girls, I hope.
All present and correct.
Where are they?
Everywhere.
I trust we will have the honor of your company at supper, sir.
The honor of my company?
Who's that? Prince Orlovsky, our host.
That's the prince. It's a pleasure to meet you, Your Highness.
Could you distract him for a moment, Your Highness? I think I have had a marvelous idea. To make the joke complete, I will invite his wife.
Will she come here?
I'll persuade her.
You will drink with me, Marquis.
With pleasure, Highness.
But first I must explain to our national property.
You like the vodka?
Ah, yes, this was splendid.
Alas, I no longer care for it.
No stimulant was family any longer. Not even love.
Love always stimulates me.
If only I were young again. If I were young, I'd be able to laugh. The doctor has promised we shall all laugh at you this evening.
There, Your Highness. All gone.
Good Lord, it's Adela.
Oh, my goodness, it's the master.
And she's wearing one of my wife's dresses.
And his full wife, he's in prison.
Miss Olga, may I introduce the Marquis Renard?
Now show us what an actress you are.
Miss Olga?
Miss Olga seems to have made quite an impression upon you, Marquis.
Oh, no, it's just that she bears a remarkable resemblance to someone I know. May I ask how long you've been Miss Olga?
About as long as you've been Marquis Renard.
Touché. But the resemblance
To whom, sir?
to my chambermaid.
Chambermaid. What an impertinence.
She's a very good chambermaid. The very queen of chambermaids.
That makes it less insulting.
It's a joke in truth.
Well, put something right with you. Did you hear what they said? Well, then I know the friend here. In fact, it's calling me. It is you, Petunia. People think I'm a parlor-made
I really thought that I was right. Her face was so familiar.
My dear Marquis, it seems to me that you are very young. It is my advice to feel the time before you
Enough. Please forgive me, ladies and gentlemen, and you too, Miss Olga.
Next time, be more careful whom you compare to a chambermaid.
Oh, yes, the governor of the prison, right. Another of our comedians.
The plot thickens. Chevalier, you are welcome.
Highness, I apologize for my lateness. Ah, Chevalier. Comment allez-vous? Allow me to introduce a fellow countryman, le Marquis Renard.
A fellow countryman. He's going to want to speak French, you know.
Chevalier? Marquis? Marquis!
Chevalier.
Paris!
Marseille.
Toulon!
Toulouse.
Lautrec!
Toulouse-Lautrec. Renoir.
Degas!
Du. Dégardu.
Dissipage!
Sauce bernaise.
Bref!
Suzette.
Beau!
Violet.
La plume de ma tante est sur la table. Come, gentlemen, ready to roam.
How clear. Chevalier, it is a pleasure to meet you.
The pleasure is on you.
Nothing a pleasure, isn't it? Time for supper? I'm starving. Yes, me too. And I. Starving horses ravenous. I could eat a horse.
Oh, ladies, please wait a minute longer. There is still one more guest to arrive. A lady.
Oh.
Whom I must ask you to treat with discretion. She is a Hungarian countess who has to be careful of her position. She has agreed to join our little party only on the condition that she may remain masked.
Obviously, she's saddled with some stupid husband.
You could say that.
Marquis, what a charming little timepiece.
Yes, isn't it?
So, Doctor, you're behind it. Where is my husband?
Oh, over there on the arm of that lady.
So this is his idea of prison. Why, that's Adele he's drooling over. And she's wearing one of my dresses. Oh, just you wait, madam. I'll give you something for your poor sick arm that you won't forget in a hurry.
They'll hear you. So, Marquis, you use your watch as bait, eh?
Ah, yes. It's drawn many a fish onto my hook.
But, aren't you married, Marquis?
Oh, my wife is at home dreaming of her Gabrielle.
You might be surprised, Marquis.
Marquis, let me introduce our mysterious Hungarian countess. I'm sure you have more in common than you realize. Come, Chevalier, let's leave them. Good fishing, Marquis.
I think she's game. Never listen to stories of the cold-blooded aristocracy. She'll fall for the watch just like the rest of us.
Oh, what a beautiful, pretty little pocket watch.
Isn't it?
Oh, it's made for a lady, no?
Yes.
Tell me, Marquis, are you married?
Oh, what a ridiculous idea. May I ask you a question? Could I possibly see you without your mask?
Oh, tomorrow. You just see me without the mask. Tomorrow. I swear you. Scratch your eyes out first.
But why not tonight? Tomorrow may be difficult.
Oh, yes. Tomorrow will be difficult. I promise you. Oh, if only I could get my hands on that watch. Then I'd have him.
He is lovely, quite astounding. I can feel my heart is pounding. And your heart, what pleasure, just to kiss that freely hand. Let me see if there's a chance.
So he told me, and I love it, that he told me quite a pleasure, but still it's too a day. Let him try to get away. Let him try to get away.
What reverb is out of place? Won't you lift your mask of moment? Let me see your lovely face.
Look, Mr. Marquis, what can you? It is wrong of you to ask. You should know as well as I do. But one must respect the man. All this talking of the search,
I am ready.
it is right.
Oh, now I can prove if I try, I shall see. How can he resist? With his test, with his dare, yes, I will see. Oh, we'll fall into the ground. Now the moment here at last.
Yes, my moon is at its brightest. Take your marching sound to my heart beat, and I know it's not.
That's a simple thing to do.
Only I can
No, that is wrong. You counted 9 instead of 8.
I thought it was not the race, so it's over.
Ain't over. How?
You count the beating of my heart, and I will listen to the stick. I really think it was quick. Now from the way with your feet.
I'm ready now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126, 127, 128, 129, I thought it wrong, I couldn't wonder.
I think that's all that's possible.
I'll have my watch, so if you please.
Thank you, sincerely.
I only meant
I'm grateful, yes, really.
I wanted to the bargain, get the game was too expensive. He has taken me offensive. My watch, now if you please. I only meant he has tested me, I'm certainly get my watch. Will I ever get it back? That's what I hear. Yes, I gave a fool, and to see the thing in the
Unless you have very strong reasons that need to be hidden.
May we ask you to unmask? Yes, unmask.
Ladies and gentlemen,
In my house, the lady may choose for herself just how much she cares to conceal or reveal.
You think she's really Hungarian?
I will prove it to you. The melodies of my homeland will speak for me. Sarba.
The story of the bat.
Oh, yes, the story of the bat. Perhaps the Marquis can tell it best.
Ah, yes, the story of the bat. That was a splendid joke. A comedy that I devised starring Dr. Falker. We had been invited to this fancy dress party, see? I went as a butterfly. Falker was a bat. You should have seen him all sewn up in this big smelly brown skin with these enormous wings and a big yellow nose. Well, this was before I was married, of course.
Oh, so you are married. There go all my hopes.
Don't worry about my wife. She's as old as the hills and twice as ugly. By the evening after the good party, the good doctor here was fairly sozzled, so I had the taxi stop in the middle of the market square, and I left him to sleep it off on a park bench. Well, see, when he woke up, it was broad daylight, and he had to make his way home all the way across town in broad daylight with this stupid costume on, with all these little street urchins egging him on. Ever since then, see, he's been known as Dr. Bat.
Has he had his revenge yet?
Oh, I watch out, you know.
It was a very good joke.
Yes.
Only a Frenchman could have thought up something so original.
Huh?
Let's drink to him in champagne. I know that's what you've all been waiting for. Champagne, the king of all wines. Long live his bubbling majesty.
merci, merci, merci. To your health, chevalier, and merci. Merci, merci, merci. Listen to me, I've an idea. I see most of the party affair, and some of us are love us wedding. So now we will bless while we are all in the mood, our sister and brotherhood. And you, fairest lady, if agreed,
If all are kissing the night and beneath me,
then gather around and spread with me this hope for all eternity. if I think I need your help, I am your brother forever. Wait on Brother, see my watch is slow. What's the time by yours just now? What's the time? I have no idea. She has got my watch, I hear. Let my laugh and greedy move your eyes see half to pity. Lift your mask that I may know who has turned the table so.
I think it'd be wise to let that be, for you may be a fall, that's what you see.
Oh, what can she mean?
My sweet spirit goes out. Come for your luck, wait up, say hello. Must not give up, if we are waiting.
Oh, don't think that I'm retreating, darling. What have you to lose?
Leave a blemish on my nose. Oh, you see, I must trust you.
That's a very weak excuse. No, indeed, I'll no excuse. So you see, you can't refuse. No, indeed, you can't refuse. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. Goodbye, everyone. 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. Goodbye, everyone. 6 o'clock. I've a long way to go. I'm in trouble, I know. With my stick, my hat and my stick. Shall we go together? What do you say? Yes, we'll walk together for part of the way. I'll be the day. I'll be the day.
Dr. Falke enjoys sweet revenge as Showcase continues.
It was a decade of change. For an entire generation, it was the Fabulous 60s. Quality Records presents the Fabulous 60s, a full record, 4 cassette, or 2 CDs blast from the past. Strawberry Alarm Clock, Blues the Goose, Outsiders, 56 fabulous tracks. The Fabulous 60s, an era of fanciful dreams, of tuning in and dropping out. 4 giant albums, 4 sensational cassettes, or 2 super 70-minute CDs.
Just call me angel of the morning, then you can tell me goodbye.
The 60s were drive-in and love-in,
Monday,
ragtop and sock hop.
so good to me.
The decade of revolution. The Fabulous 60s from Quality Records. 4 LPs, 4 cassettes, or 2 super CDs. And they're in stores now.
Trying to tighten that tummy with back-breaking, pain-making, time-taking, ordinary sit-ups? Now, work smarter with the Abdominizer, the intelligent alternative to sit-ups. Look, the Abdominizer targets the proper abdominal muscles, so each and every sit-up is made more effective. Safer, too. Get maximum benefits in minimum time. You can have a tonier tummy in weeks. Best of all, it's so simple. The unique rocker mechanism is designed to let you rock, rock your way to a firmer stomach. Look, ordinary sit-ups can torture your tailbone. It's not worth the pain, but the Abdominizer is contoured to cushion and cradle lower back and pelvis comfortably.
I designed the Abdominizer to produce an automatic pelvic tilt, which better isolates the abdominal muscles and makes exercise safer for your lower back. Plus, by maintaining the ideal lumbosacral angle, the Abdominizer also reduces pressure on the tailbone, allowing for greater comfort while exercising.
Three-way action. Tone and tighten upper and lower abdominals, plus lateral obliques. The Abdominizer curl works to firm upper abdominals safely. Raise your knees and work the lower abdominals, too. But that's not all. The slight side-to-side motion activates your lateral obliques to shape up those love handles nobody loves. Simply change hand position for 3 different levels of abdominal action. Order yours for just $29.95. The Abdominizer, the intelligent alternative to sit-ups. Get smart. Call toll-free now.
To order your Abdominizer, call 1-800-543-1005. That's 1-800-543-1005. Use your credit card to avoid COD charges, or send check or money order for $29.95 plus $4 shipping and handling to Abdominizer, P.O. Box 747, Station A, Downsview, Ontario. That's Abdominizer, P.O. Box 747, Station A, Downsview, Ontario. But for faster service, call 1-800-543-1005.
For those of you who are regular viewers of Showcase, you will notice that when we've presented an opera in French, German, or Italian, we've used subtitles. These subtitles for Showcase are done by our own Ben Hassey, and the use of titling on television opera is pretty much taken for granted. But in more and more opera houses around the world, there's a new technique being used that lets the audience know what's going on in any language without struggling to read a libretto in the dark. It's called surtitles, sur being French for over or above, since the titles are flashed on a special screen situated above the proscenium arch of the stage. Surtitles have almost revolutionized opera going, and like most innovations, have provoked strong reaction, both pro and con. Surtitles had their origins with the Canadian Opera Company in the early 80s. Their creator, John LeBerg, retiring Director of Operations for the COC. In fact, John LeBerg was awarded an Order of Canada for his pioneering achievement. Earlier this month, I had coffee with John at Jingles in Toronto. Gunther Dreifeld, the translator of the surtitles, joined us as well. John, how does someone born in a small town outside of Winnipeg, Manitoba, come to be involved in opera?
Oh, a total freak. I mean, I had studied music as a faculty, composition, piano, and I ended up teaching, and I decided I didn't want to regurgitate through the rest of my life, so I changed courses, and I went in political science and economics. And I used to have my classes down on College Street, and the shortcut was from Bloor down through the depths of the Edward Johnson building, which in that time was the opera school. And I was immediately overwhelmed by the difference between my colleagues in political science and economics and this group of animals who were making strange noises and strange languages in the basement of the Edward Johnson building. So, being interested in humanity, I decided these people were far more interesting, and I knocked on the door at the opera school, and I said, look, this is what I can do. I don't know anything about the theater, and to tell you the truth, I really don't like opera, but I'm fascinated by the animals. Is there anything I can do? And they gave me some jobs, and that's how I got into opera.
And you've been called now the father of surtitles, so how exactly did you get the idea for surtitles?
Well, I guess it was 1983, we were doing two very, very literate texts, two very literate operas, Elektra and the Coronation of Poppaea.
Elektra being by
Richard Strauss and Mr. Hofmannsthal. The problem was how were we going to be able to communicate with our audience, because this is, I mean, the bottom line of the performing arts is communication. Doing these two very fabulous pieces in the original language, and the text being so important, we decided to utilize the technique that has been done in foreign films for years and we started to use this projection technique. And it's not an original technique. There was let's see, Rugantino was a Italian operette, a musical comedy played in the early 60s, where they did it in Italian, and as part of the set, they had, in chaser lights, some English guides to the text. And it worked there, and so we took that idea and we developed it into projection titles. So that's how it started.
And what are the steps involved in taking a very big operatic libretto and moving it down so that it can be projected?
Well, technically, it's done very simply. We started in '83 with some homemade projectors and a dissolve unit and some slides, and we projected it on a screen. And then we adapted the projectors, became xenon projectors, and it became a little bit more sophisticated. And now we're into a new technique, which is computer-generated titles on television screens, which are totally portable. So it's got all kinds of combinations and permutations technically. But I think the interesting thing is the, as it were, translation. And I have some very strong feelings on the type of translation. I believe that we basically have to utilize a technique which I call an industrial language or a simple language, because whatever you're going to project may not take away from the stage. The stage has to be paramount. Therefore, the language you use and the ideas which you use have to be synthesized into the simplest possible verbiage. And that becomes very difficult when you're using very complicated philosophical ideas. So the actual technique of translation is, I think, a unique, certainly a unique technique.
Well, let's get Gunther in here now, because you've been translating all these operas for the surtitle technique. How did you get involved in doing the surtitles yourself?
Well, I was in the right place at the right time. Right at the beginning of Electra, we had a text, but we did not have a cued score. In other words, I had to put in the cues. John LeBerg was cueing them. I was watching them. And from that step, we went on to Lohengrin. I have languages also as a background, as well as music, and it seemed a natural progression. So,
how many languages do you speak?
Well, speak. I feel quite comfortable with French and German, and I fake Italian.
And what about singing? Have you sung as well?
No, they pay me not to sing.
And so that you've been doing these surtitles since the early 80s, since it was first invented.
Yes.
And what's the audience reaction to the surtitles?
Well, I feel that there was initially controversy about them. Would the titles take away from the concentration on the stage, from the audience watching the stage? I feel that this isn't true. The audience has an option of either watching the titles or not. If it's a popular opera and they feel that they know the text, that's fine. They also don't have to watch the titles 100% of the time. Every title, perhaps there's a well-known aria that lends itself easily to translation, but they also can understand the words since they know them.
What do you leave out? The libretto is huge. What do you leave out? How do you decide what to leave out?
I think I approach every opera individually. For instance, in Macbeth, the Scottish opera, I left out I left out the recipe for the cauldron. We did have double, toil and trouble, but not what went into it. List, I leave out repetitions of arias mostly. In recitatives, I have to condense immensely because they tend to be very quick speech patterns, and I only have a limited amount of space on the slide to use.
And sometimes the opera plots are ludicrous, or the libretto may be weak. How do you avoid the audience laughing at the wrong place in a particularly dramatic moment?
We are blessed with student dress rehearsals, and students tend to laugh at love, death, and violence. Opera is full of that. If they laugh, I will gauge whether that's a student reaction or a nervous reaction. If anything looks out of place, then the audience will laugh. And when the letters are a foot high, it looks completely different than on a typewritten page. Intuition, really.
And how long does it take you to translate an operatic libretto?
I would say a week at a time, 8 hours a day, a week for editing, 2 weeks of rehearsals, a month altogether.
And does much change during the rehearsal process? Do you take things out?
I take things out, I add things, very much so with the blanks when the screen is dark, so that there aren't any titles, or we add some.
Now, John, do you find that surtitles has actually increased subscription for opera companies, do you think?
Well, there's I can only talk about cab drivers. Cab drivers know what the world is all about. And I remember taking a cab to the O'Keeffe in the late 70s, and the guy said, well, what are you doing at the O'Keeffe? And I said, I work for the opera company. He said, what, you work for what? And I said, the opera company. And he said, oh, yeah, they sing in funny languages. I don't like opera. It's really boring. And then I remember taking a cab to the O'Keeffe in the late 80s, and I said, yeah, I work for the opera company. Oh, yeah, you work for the opera company, you're doing Traviata. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm going to see it next week. It's a wonderful opera. There may have been two different cab drivers, but there's a different perception of what opera is about. It's understandable. We're communicating. Again, we're communicating with the public. What's it done for subscriptions? Well, it hasn't done anything for subscriptions per se. I think our subscriptions have grown from 10,000 in 76 to not over 19,000 this year. That's because we have a wonderful marketing department, marketing plan, but maybe to some extent it's because the operas are becoming more accessible.
I want to thank both of you for coming in and talking to me today. Gunther Dreifeld and John LeBerg, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John LeBerg, until recently, was Director of Operations for the Canadian Opera Company, and Gunther Dreifeld is producer of surtitles for the COC. And now let's return to the final act of Fledermaus from Vancouver Opera. At the Central Jailhouse, the euphoria of the night before has given way to the grim realities of the morning after. Our main characters have to put aside their illusions and face themselves in the mirror by the harsh light of day. Accounts settled and lessons learned. From Alfred and his own life, von Eisenstein will discover that the double standard works both ways. From Dr. Falke, he'll find out that when you abuse a friendship, you may find fewer helping hands when you're down and out. And though in the end everything seems to turn out all sweetness and light, will the von Eisensteins really forgive and forget and find true peace and happiness? Will they be able to give up their shallow, hedonistic lifestyle for the more staid values of honesty and domestic harmony? Worst of all, will they now have to go looking for a new maid? After all, good help is hard to find. Stay tuned for the continuing saga of Gabrielle and Rosalinda. But all that still in the future. In the meantime, with Prince Orlovsky and his guests all assembled, it's time to break out the bubbly and drink to a new day. Now, the grand finale, once again, Vancouver host Otto Lowy, with some more pertinent observations on Die Fledermaus and its creator, Johann Strauss Jr.
Johann Strauss loved to play billiards, and even when his partners allowed him to win, he liked to say, Ich triff immer. I always hit the ball. And in Die Fledermaus, he, Strauss, the absolutely non-intellectual, is showing us his time, his period, with incredible refinement and precision. He, well, hit it with his music in a manner that no composer, no poet, no writer then or since then has managed to do. He was able to reveal to us the artistic mood, the euphoric emotional climate of an Austrian half-century still full of radiance and love of life, still fed by the creative juices of its beautiful Danube landscape. And the more happy, the more gay, because the dark years, the dark times were already lying in wait. And it was into this approaching darkness that Strauss, as if defiantly, hurled those pearls of his Fledermaus waltzes. And now, the third act, the last act of Die Fledermaus, by Johann Strauss.
The whole place is going to the dogs.
Stop that singing!
There's one thing I can't stand, it's singing. Or humming, whistling, chanting, all that sort of rubbish.
Stop it at once, do you hear? Oh. This is supposed to be a prison, not a bloody opera house.
Yeah. You think you're in here to enjoy yourself, relax, have a good time, take a holiday? I've got to get some order around here. The whole place is going to the dogs soon. Yes. Well, what can you expect with a governor like ours? Got about as much idea of discipline as a shrimp. A jellyfish. A filleted adder. Didn't let anyone in here. Like that greasy tenor, that spaghetti diva in number 12. Stop that damn singing! Life is difficult enough as it is without setting it to music. I've never been able to stomach opera. All that endless, drawn-out, self-indulgent agony. And there's not a drop to drink until the interval. There's not a lot of them about anymore. Disappearing species, your interval. Intermission. Entr'acte. Operetta's worse. All that false jollity, that prancing about the stage, when the whole goddamn world is going to the dogs. I mean, it's got nothing to do with reality, with the nitty, yeah, and the gritty way of life as we know it. Take adultery. The whole world going at it like Billy-O. And what do they do in operetta but talk about it? Or worse, sing about it in arias, in trios, and choruses. Yeah, Yeah. But do they ever do the deed of darkness? Make the beast with two backs hump? No. Somebody always interrupts just in time. Just as the knickers are about to drop. It's enough to make a man take to the bottle. Oh. When you start drinking, you seem to hear voices singing. It's a bloody vicious circle. No, wait. It's not me. It's that miserable specimen in number 12 torturing me again. I've got to make him stop. Perhaps if I give him a drink, a draught, a potion. Stay his throat with flagons. Yes. Perhaps that'll silence his beastly bell bloody canto.
Kiss me, Olga. You too, Ida. Marquis, be my friend. Olga. Before heavenly champagne, be our king evermore. Champagne is a man of Olga.
That's what I like to see. A governor buried in his reading. The whole place is going to the dogs. Seems a pity to disturb him. But I must make my report. Sir, Prison Officer Frosch reporting. Sir! Prison Officer Frosch reporting.
Approach and report.
There's nothing to report, sir.
Thank God for that.
But the prisoner in number 12, that smarmy serenader, that putrid purveyor of cheap frills to old women of both sexes, would like to see a lawyer.
Number 12? Well, that's Eisenstein, isn't it? Well, get him a lawyer. He's entitled to one.
I have already sent for Dr. Blind, sir.
Good. That is the bell.
Funny, I thought I heard one, too.
Well, look out and see who's come to pester us. Oh.
There are 2 ladies below.
2?
Well, it could be one. Very difficult to tell.
Well,
should I let her or them in?
Ask them what they want.
What do you want? Sorry, wrong prison. They're one of that name here.
Who do they want?
Somebody called Chevalier Chagrin.
Chevalier Chagrin?
I told them there was no one of that name here. Not at the prison.
Let them in at once.
Ladies in a man's prison. They'll let anyone in here. What other prison entertains beautiful young ladies so early in the morning? Such a happy place. Where will it end? Married quarters for prisoners and their wives, consorts, concubines. Prison is supposed to be a place of deprivation, abstinence, frustration.
Please.
The whole place is
out!
Are you surprised to see us here?
Well,
Dr. Falker gave us your address and told us to come. My sister has a favor to ask you.
favor, well, certainly, if I can. Frosch, would you leave us? Please?
I have a confession to make.
Confession?
You see, I'm not exactly what I seem.
Oh, you're not. Well, you're adorable, and that's good enough for me. Nobody's perfect.
My sister means that she is not an actress. At least not yet.
Oh, what is she then?
Just the chambermaid of Mr. von Eisenstein.
Chambermaid? And you let me kiss your hand?
And that's not all. So, if you don't want that to get out, perhaps you'd put in a good word for me at the theater.
At the theater?
If a distinguished man like the Chevalier were to sponsor her, her career could take off.
But does she have any talent?
Me, talent? Oh, just listen.
You're much too emancipated for life as a chambermaid. Excuse me, I see who it is. The Marquis now. Ladies, hide at once. Rush! Do we have any rooms empty at the moment?
Plenty of room.
We'll take them there at once.
Into a cell? Oh, yes. Come this way, ladies.
That's your reception room.
You could call it that. Now, quick mark. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. That's it.
So, Chevalier, they caught you too. Have you been up to some naughtiness then, you old rogue? Certainly not. Well, I might ask you the same thing. What are you doing here? Oh, I've come for a stay. And you? Well, as a matter of fact, I live here. You see, Marquis, I am not the Chevalier Chagrin. I am Frank, the prison governor. Very funny. But it's the truth, I tell you. Oh, you can't fool me. Would you like me to prove it, Marquis? Yes. Arrest this gentleman.
Certainly, sir. Nasty-looking bit of jailbait. What shall we say? Clapped in irons, solitary confinement, bread and water.
That's enough, Frosh. You can let him go.
Let him go?
It's only a joke.
A joke? Didn't see it. Passed me by. Too subtle.
Well, are you convinced? Yes. But could my real arrest be less heavy-handed, please? Your real arrest, Marquis? I am no more a Marquis than you are a Chevalier. My name is Gabriel von Eisenstein, and I have come here to begin my 8-day prison sentence. Very clever, Marquis. Trying to pay me back in my own coin, but it won't wash. Oh, no, no, no. You see, I arrested the real Eisenstein last night with my own hands. You arrested him. I arrested him with your own hands. With my own hands. That's impossible. Marquis, if I tell you that about 10 o'clock last night, I arrested him in his own home. Oh, in his own home? Yes, in his own home, having supper with his own wife. Oh, with his own wife. Ah, very lovely lady. Ah, yes. If you only could have seen the way they said their fond farewells to each other. It was, very touching. Where is this Eisenstein now? I need to see him at once. Sorry, you can't see a prisoner without a permit.
It's unbelievable. This place goes further downhill every minute. There's another seeking admission. And another. We'll be able to start a chorus line soon.
Excuse me, Marquis, while I see who this is. I'm confused. Why should a man need a permit to visit himself in prison?
Now, you wait here, and I'll go and fetch your Mr. Eisenstein.
Blint, what are you doing here? You sent for me. I did? This is getting worse and worse. Wait a minute. I've got an idea. I could interview this Eisenstein myself.
And that way I'll be able to find out who he really is. Quick, man, give me your wig and your glasses and your coat.
There you are. Here is your client, Dr. Flynn. Well, where did he go? Or did I forget to let him in? What the?
Oh, Rosalinda, I hope you realize all that I'm going through for your sake, and that you will know how to show your gratitude when I'm out of this dreadful place.
I shall leave you alone with your husband, madame.
Rosalinda, it took you long enough to get here.
Never mind about that now. You must be out of here by the time my husband arrives.
That may not be so easy, my dear. I have sent for a lawyer.
So there he is.
Perhaps he can help.
And she's here too. I've caught them both red-handed.
There he is.
A strange situation, lost like fascination, beneath consideration, with great desperation, perhaps my salvation is she meditation, in full explanation, beneath condemnation, so mind what you say, discretion will pay, so mind what you say, discretion will pay.
Please understand, it's most important to make a full admission. If there should be the least omission, your case won't stand up for a moment.
If all this very crying and you will shortly see,
Some knots will need untying, or so it seems to me.
All right, then tell me how it came about, and I will try to sort it out.
I called upon this lady to have a bite to eat, a little conversation, and nothing indiscreet, and found myself arrested and marched into the street.
The proper thing to do with all the likes of you.
Just what is that supposed to mean? You're surely acting for me.
Excuse me, it's a trick of mine to know the prosecution's lie. I'm here to help as best I can. Just put the facts before me.
I must just read the far, I learned and
Now I can see the much more. I must behold the golden rule, or I shall not be fooled. So just be cool, just be cool.
a harmless little evening, we dined and we conversed, but all the idle gossip would say quite the reverse. And certainly my husband is something so worse.
With every reason to, such conduct will not do.
And what exactly do you mean you really could defend me?
I have to see the other of you before I know what I can do. I'm here to help as best I can. Just put the facts before me.
I must just read the far, I learned and
Now I can see the much more. I must be cool, the golden rule, or I shall not be cool. So just be cool, just be cool. The story isn't yet complete. Go over it again. You had your supper head ahead, and so what happened then?
just tell me what you mean by that.
The
the truth and nothing less. What else should you confess? A full investigation will bring the truth to light. So no more hesitation. What else occurred last night?
My husband, so it seems to me, commands your deepest sympathy. But for your information, a reprobate is what he is, and nevermore shall I forget this faithless vile abomination. He snuck off to a ball last night and ogled every girl inside. Within his only pleasure without remorse. But let him show his face again, and he will pay for his crime. I scratched his look what no one done. Then I fell before him. I looked at his eyes and no one nothing more.
As she was kept by one time, and then she will be born in. Just like the one Now we put the case to you, tell us what we ought to do. When he sneaks home on the sly, we'll confront him, you and I, make the wretched humble pie. This is the end, he's off his head, the very end. He's off his head, just what that you said. You'll pay for his betrayal, and vengeance shall be mine. Yes, now I see you tremble, for I am Eisenstein. For he is Eisenstein. So you are Eisenstein. Yes, Eisenstein, the man you need. Eisenstein is not defeated. You will have to suffer for your treachery. Eisenstein, the man you need. Eisenstein is not defeated. If you dare to try it for me. Eisenstein, 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 Eisenstein,
Now wait just one moment before you go rushing around here talking of betrayal. Perhaps you can explain this.
Where did you get that?
Oh, it's the beautiful, pretty little pocket that you gave me, darling.
Oh, my God. The denouement of our little comedy, the recognition scene.
Walter, you wouldn't have done such a thing to us.
That was
the revenge of the Baptists.
And now that you have both learned your lesson, maybe we can move on to the reconciliation scene. Never.
Never.
Mr. Governor, sir, both these prisoners refuse to submit to discipline.
Never mind, Frost. Some of them will be leaving anyway.
Leaving?
Falter, you tricked us. You're the one to blame. Really? I am?
Time for the finale.
The whole place is going to the dogs.
I can see you all had fun, but I don't know what's going on. Be a friend and tell me that it's the vengeance of the bat. It's the vengeance of the bat. Oh, so say about you when you feel it, you feel what you feel, but if you should suffer anybody, surely pay the score. Then for heaven's sake, man, tell the joke, as you can see, it was all devised by me. And we are the smart as well. And the prince. And my maid. You and she. A mere invention. What of this then? This is heaven, yes, it's heaven. I shall die of joy, I know. Darling, tell me I'm forgiven. It was not exactly your husband's masturbation. Maybe hallucination. I shall take good care of you. I can think of no one better to be trained for operetta. No, it's been like this way. If the talent went away. Once more may I remind you, Chicago. Yes, we shall all remember Chicago. Rosalinda, we're both in this together. Couldn't we agree that neither of us is to blame? Wait, it was the champagne.
And they thought it was all simply due to the champagne. Well, we know better, don't we? It was also chacun en son goût, everyone to his own taste. Perhaps just an easy lesson in democratic tolerance. But what really matters is this. Though more than a century has gone by since that first night of the Fledermaus, a century of minor and major upheavals, of several great stock market crashes, yet Johann Strauss's music simply continued and continues now to put bubbles into that Fledermaus champagne.
Fond farewells coming up next on Showcase.
1 year free for 4 days and 4 days only. Walk into Stacy's Furniture's Richmond or Vancouver location.